call to order this May meeting of the RSU 25 School Board. If you'd all please join with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Abby.
Anyway, Josh, would you please be kind enough to take the attendance for us?
Mr. Foster.
I am here.
Mr. Burgess.
Here.
Mrs. Foster.
Present.
Mr. Frazier.
Here.
Mr. Neiman.
Here.
Mr. Wentworth.
Here.
Mr. Koch.
Here.
And Ms. Atherton Dow.
Hello.
They're all present.
This is the time for public participation. If you are here for public participation, you can join us in front of our beautiful crystal podium. If you are at home and would like to publicly participate, you can email for public comment at publiccomment@rsu25.org, or you can phone in for public comment at 307-8099. Seeing as how we don't have a line at the podium, we will move on to adjustments to the agenda.
All right, so I have a couple of adjustments here. First, I need to add 2 resignations. Mrs. Darcy Bacon, Milestone School Principal. And then I have 2 nominations that will be added. Ken Burnham for Milestone School Grade 3-4 teacher, and Jill Havey, BHS Guidance Administrative Assistant. And then the only other adjustment is I would like to move items L4 through L7 to directly after the superintendent's report.
Any objection to us doing that? So moved. Next, we've got approval of the minutes. I would look for a motion to approve the minutes of the April regular meeting and the May special board meeting.
So moved. Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you. Next, we have communications and correspondence.
So you have in your packet some correspondence from some students. I thought that it might make your votes day. You know, I also got a letter from that group because I don't think there's anything better when you get some notes of appreciation from students. And
Sure.
what's that?
Samuel Foster.
You know him?
I know that guy. He was in the bathroom downstairs causing me to go all the way upstairs, making me late.
So please feel free to take those with you, and they were very happy to send those along.
Very nice.
The last one is the best.
No, I do love the last one.
Are there any other communications? and
Nope,
correspondence?
that's it for communications.
Then next would be superintendent's report.
So you have my report, and obviously we're getting to the end of the year here pretty rapidly. Mrs. Hall sent out a list of events for you, and she will make this announcement at the end because I'm gonna probably forget, but if you are attending, in particular, the academic banquet next Wednesday, we've had a couple of you respond, but just so we can have the right people at the right tables and head counts, if you could please just make sure you reach out to Sue or Christina so that we can get the right numbers there. And then the only thing that was not in my report that I would just like to publicly comment on, obviously you received my email hopefully yesterday about the passing of Joel Sankey, longtime teacher, coach, mentor, and as recently as last week, you know, a substitute teacher here, passed away yesterday, and again, just publicly want to acknowledge his service, dedication to the RSU, to Bucksboro High School, and you know, personally coming in as a student teacher and then a teacher at 21, 22 years old and knowing nothing about teaching, and to have people like Joel there that you could go and talk to and just teach you how to be a good person and be a good educator. You know, I think it's cliche, we say all the time, someone's more than a teacher, more than a coach. But, you know, I think he was a teacher of how to be a good human being, how to bring out the best in people. And he touched a lot of people in this community in a number of different ways. So had a profound impact, and someone that we are gonna greatly miss and appreciate everything he did for the RSU.
Thank you, Josh. Next, we will go to executive session pursuant to MRSA Title I, Section 4056B, for the purpose of discussing a student discipline issue.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. back and from our executive session. And now we are on L5, possible action on student discipline issue. I would make a motion, or no, I would look for a motion.
I move that the board expel the student under consideration and that the superintendent provide the board and the parents with the board's written findings.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
That is unanimous. Thank you. Next, I would look for action on executive session pursuant to MRSA Title I, Section 4056B for purpose of discussing the student discipline issue.
So this is going back into executive
So
session.
we're going back.
So moved.
Okay, we got
Second.
a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
That is, now we're We're back from executive session, and we are now on L7, possible action on student discipline issue. I would look for a motion.
You took away the.
You want me to read it?
Yeah.
But if you guys got one from
I move that the board expel the student under consideration and that the superintendent provide the board and the parents with the board's written findings.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? It is unanimous. Thank you.
We're a good team.
Yeah, we
Going back to we're back on to item I, board chair's report. Board chair doesn't have anything to report. We're running a little late. Next, we've got committee reports. We've got curriculum committee.
Okay, we met on May 1st, so a while ago. We did open it for public comment, we had none, but we opened it for that. We talked about the social studies curriculum, which we'd been kind of waiting to work on because we had heard they were gonna update these standards. They were last updated in 2019. But Christina's just going forward, she was at that time about 90% done with the standards which were last updated in 2019. We just didn't wanna wait any longer. So that one may end up getting completed and then completed again if they release more standards. We talked about the main seal of biliteracy. That was Christina and Aaron kind of a report for us. And that's a certification after passing a test in our language and someone's native language. They would get special cords to wear at graduation. It's the ESOL teacher, Mrs. Hurd, would be the one to take this on, so we're looking to do that, which is really cool. And then we have some district updates, but most of that is already either happening or about to happen. The academic banquet's happening on the 28th, that's maybe, and district budget tomorrow.
Any questions for curriculum? Finance committee met right before this meeting. We discussed the budget to actual and the senior and regular food programs. We discussed terminating the senior food program, and we talked about the idea of talking with some other districts about measures that could be taken within a regular food program to perhaps mitigate some of the losses that we're seeing in those programs. The regular budget to actual is in good shape, and that is all that I have to report.
So as the food program stands, we are getting state reimbursements still, is that correct? It's just not covering the costs,
So
or?
this is the senior food.
Oh, no, I was talking about ours as well, right?
Yeah,
Is
ours
there-
as well is also at a loss, and we budget a loss every year.
Well, you always have budgeted a loss. I think when we first started, it was over $70,000 a year.
Now we're at
And
40,000.
we pared that back to 40,000
We budget 60,000.
and we budget 60 now.
Yeah.
At one point it was
We were
40.
down as
We
well.
But
went from
isn't it
70 to
because
40.
even though the state pays, it's still not enough?
It's not.
It doesn't, it defrays the cost, but it doesn't really pay for the whole meal.
So, is the state gonna continue this everybody eats for free thing, or are we gonna go back next year to,
It is in the budget, it was in the governor's budget for food to be free.
so we're not charging until that goes out of the state budget, is that correct?
I mean, the only reason we would start charging is if the state stopped reimbursing us and said that they were not providing it for free, so.
And then you utilize the federal guidelines, and there's free lunch based on your household income, which
That's not
to
happening
me
now, it's
sounds
just
a whole
every-
lot fairer.
I thought the legislature had codified free lunch for all at this point, haven't they?
Yeah, but it still has to go through the financial fund, like it has to be funded.
Right, okay, so when the fiscal note runs out, the requirement stops.
Like, I mean, again, my assumption is that it will continue. But I always feel like there's always the chance that
Yeah.
that could change just based on budgets, so. yes, we are planning on it being free, but just not knowing what the budget looks like for sure for next year, where it hasn't been, I always just wonder about that. We still do, even though it is free lunch, we still do those forms that Mr. Foster was talking about in terms of the free and reduced. And because of our reporting, we're actually gonna be in a spot where we're not gonna have to do that for a period of years because we hit a certain threshold, which actually would be beneficial to us. But yes, as far as we know, again, but even with that, it does not cover our costs. What they say a lunch cost and what it really costs are two different numbers. When you figure in operating costs for staff and for facilities. So we budget for 60,000. We just looked at the finances and it was like 47,000 right now, so we are in line with where we thought we were going to be.
Great, thank you.
The issue is whether whether you use the Fed program or the state program, neither program ever covered enough. And when we were able to charge for families like mine that clearly should not receive a free lunch because we earn too much money, we had to pay more. And so we helped to offset some of those costs to the rest of the district. When the state chooses to have everyone be treated the same, wealthy families like mine get away with a free lunch and don't help to contribute. And so that's why we're losing more money than we used to. And so we have to look at the overall program to decide, is there something that we can do to help mitigate some of those costs? And there are some districts that are nearby us that have done so and are being more successful in their programs. And so Josh is looking at those other districts so that we might be able to implement some of those things here. It might be something that we can't do, but if it is something that we can do, Josh is going to bring those to us.
Some of it's a size and scale thing, but some of it's not. Like we looked at our numbers and it's not when you're running it down. One thing that we have noticed is that before lunches were free, people would bring money in to buy lunch. We also have, like at the high school in particular, we have an a la carte where they can buy drinks and other purchases. That does provide some revenue to the program when they're doing that. But if you don't have to bring money in to buy lunch, then you don't necessarily bring in money to buy extra stuff. Whereas if you already sending money in to buy lunch, you would still have some. I remember when I was going to school, I could get money from my parents and say, well, if you give me an extra $1, then I can get this X, Y, or Z item. So we've seen a decrease in some of that revenue as well over the years, which obviously just adds to that deficit. So it's a good question.
Policy committee.
Policy committee, we did meet, we are having a conversation right now around our tobacco and alcohol policy as it affects extracurricular activities. This was kind of an odd growth, but we had a parent and a student earlier this year that was questioned whether we were a little harsh on our, on how we treated students, so we have gone back and we're looking at that and how we compare with other districts. Right now, our policy is 30 days for each, 30 business days, basically, or not including Sundays, for each infraction. One infraction is 30 days, 2 infractions is 30 days, 3 infractions is 30 days. Some other districts have more of a scaled approach where the first time is a little bit less time and the second time more, and it grows, which is kind of in line with how our discipline program works. So we're looking at that. We've asked Mr. Tripp to him and his administrative team to write up something for us to kind of look at, and then we'll bring that back to the board hopefully next month and to take a look at. Besides that, we talked about a lot of the policies that we just reviewed that hadn't been reviewed since, some of them since we had probably had started the RSU, and some maybe were on their second round. Those are coming back with no changes, and there was one that we did change, and that it was around federal fund procurement and how we account for all of that, just to keep ourselves in guideline with the federal government. And so that's what we have going on, and we look forward to bringing back that policy hopefully next month, so that we can get that codified by the board, seconded, and in the handbooks for August, going forward.
Any questions for policy? Alright, next we've got facilities and grounds.
Yeah, we met last week, was it last week? So last week, down below here at the high school shop with Anthony. And he walked us through the new, with the potentially new welding extraction system and the stations that the new, that they're gonna be using. And he did a really good job of describing what was gonna happen. We walked through that. It was pretty basic and pretty brief, really. We didn't really talk about much else except that, like that little field trip we had.
It'll be a lot healthier.
Yeah, it's gonna be really good.
The project's gonna start on June 9th, with the completion, which is a Monday, with an expected completion date of that Friday. So
Nice.
it will be, and now the week prior to that, we will be, removing the current system out of there. So we will be doing that ourselves, to help keep the cost down within the grant money that, for the entire project. So again, we are getting this whole entire project, done without a burden to the district. We're excited, and again, this is adding 4 new booths that will be in use starting next year, so we'll be able to do 18 students for our welding program, which is fantastic, because it usually has a wait list. So,
Anthony did some great work already as far as creating the rough openings needed for the new ventilation system to go in as quickly and easily as possible, which was great.
Any questions for facilities?
Got any big projects planned over the summer that, like, well, there's no kids in the buildings or anything like that this year?
Not
Anything?
compared to like last
Oh,
summer
okay.
where we had the boilers and the
Windows.
outdoors. We have windows that we
Oh,
talked about through facilities that we're looking to, in our local capital improvement one, not the reserve fund. And then just our normal maintenance during the summer. I think
no big
Anthony's looking
projects.
forward to a summer where they can.
Josh, did you say something about a new tractor? We might have to get another tractor.
Don't you set me off.
Things are going so well.
No, we really are gonna focus on being able to get on more normal maintenance stuff, and there's always some things that come up, we want to be able to, windows have been a big thing at the Miles Lane School, and then here, in the science wing at the high school. And so we have a couple of different options that we can go with, and, the facilities committee was supportive of either way that we go. It really is just, what can we get the best price, when can we get them in here, make sure they're done before the start of the school year, so.
Miles Lane is having their roof come up, like, the roof replacement is coming up, correct? Or roof repair.
I mean, not like immediately, but it's one of 2 that are on.
Window.
We have the middle school one and we have Miles Lane that we are gonna need to look, that we have on the horizon and that we have. So tomorrow night, when we do the articles for the district budget meeting, we'll be looking to put another $600,000, up to, I should say, $600,000 into our capital reserve fund. And this year with no intent to pull any money out of the capital reserve fund. So basically just trying to build a stockpile, because our goal would be to be able to do 1 or 2 of those big projects without having to go out to bond. So that really is our plan of how we're using that unallocated fund balance, is to stock up our reserves. But you'll see that, we always do the up to, because you just never know until the audit comes in how much money we have.
Yeah.
We're in a healthy place right now, but my recommendation is that we have that money we put into a capital reserve so that we can replace a roof, pave a parking lot, we can do some of these bigger projects, and not attack our debt service, which is, already approaching $500,000 right now, so.
And then HCTC.
Well, we did not meet and we won't meet again until September.
Okay. We have no old business, new business, we have some resignations and retirements.
Yes, so starting with resignations, you have Shelley Bowden, Director of Food Service, Linda White, who came back to us this year, but is going back to retirement. But she did a nice job for us this year, and we appreciate her coming back and filling in. And then obviously Mrs. Dakin, as we said, that had emailed you about, is going to be leaving us, and we appreciate her efforts. For what year are we now on total? 18, that's what I wanted to say, and the district as teacher and administrator, and certainly we wish her luck in her upcoming role. We're not gonna exile her like we have other administrators in the past, we will still use her name and acknowledge her presence,
She who must not be named.
at least for a few more weeks. So those are, and then for under support personnel, Dr. Scala is put in his resignation just for time commitments, is just unable to do that. He's a busy person, and was very sad that he had to give this up, because he truly loves that position, and that is one that we're gonna do some brainstorming around of how we're gonna fill.
That'll be an interesting position to
Yeah.
fill.
Yeah, and then Kim Nason, who was working as an ed tech for us at the regular ed tech in the Mount St. School.
Well, I move we accept the resignations and retirements with regret.
Second.
Motion and a second, all those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you.
All right, for nominations for teachers, we have Ken Burnham, who is returning to us after a one-year stint away. We find this sometimes, people go and, but we're very happy for him to come back. And then under support personnel, Mr. Ward has been busy trying to hire secretaries this past couple of weeks. So we have Nicole Prescott, who has been filling in for a number of our schools as an administrative assistant. And to go into the main office, Jill Havey, who has been working for us in the pre-K classroom as an ed tech, will be coming up to fill Mrs. Lodge's spot in a guidance office as administrative assistant. And then, again, more familiar faces, Cassidy Noonan, previous ed tech for us, is returning to help out Mrs. Woods and her staff. And then Kelsey Christopher, who has been doing a long-term sub position for us at the Miles Lane School, has done a really nice job and will be coming on. We're excited to have her on full-time as ed tech for us next year.
We wanna mention Casey.
Oh, thank you, I'm sorry. And then Casey Soper, volunteer for the softball team. He helped us out last year. Nice job.
Well, I move that we accept the nominations as a block.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all those in favor? It's unanimous, thank you.
And I will just real quickly add on that, again, I have been using the authority that you gave me to offer contracts, especially now for teachers, so that we can lock them up. We'll continue to do that with teachers. And I appreciate you guys, jumping in on interviews when you can. We will still bring them before the board. And I appreciate the people that have wanted to be on the Miles Lane School search for the principal. That is one we will bring before the board. Only reason I would tenure a contract in front of that is and I would contact you all beforehand, is if I thought we would lose that or that person prior to the next board meeting, just because of the timing of it. But my goal would be where it's an administrative position that I would bring that before the board before offering a contract, or certainly would consult with you all first prior to doing so.
Next, we have first reading of policies. We've got DD grants and DJR federal procurement manual.
If you want to go to sleep easily at some point, that procurement manual will be a quick way to do it.
Just hearing the title.
It is.
You'd be drowning.
So DD grants is a really easy one. There was one change in that. So basically what we had in it before is that we could not go after grants without board approval if it was over $1,000. So anything under $1,000, it was just principal and superintendent approval. $1,000 grants are they're pretty minuscule. At this point, they really don't exist. Most grants are a little bit bigger. So as we were looking both at DD and DJR, DJR really was the primary part of that was they were redefining the thresholds of all the grants in terms of the definitions of what a micro purchase was.
I don't think that got changed on the copy that we have in here.
Yeah.
Oh, it didn't?
That did not.
I apologize.
Yeah, it's still,
Well, I will make that change. So what we did was from the manual, from the federal procurement manual, what they call the micro purchase, used to be anything under $1,000. So what we thought we would do is we would match that number. They changed it to 3,500. So we thought we would match the numbers from the federal procurement manual to match what we would use for the grants under DD. So it wasn't just the,
are you sure it's 3,500 or 10,000 now?
it's 3,500 is the smallest one. So, I'm sorry, we're using the 3,500 here for the grants that we don't need approval for.
Oh,
The micro
Is this for
purchase
all
we would have
grants?
to.
okay, but it,
I feel like we
Oh,
don't
yes.
okay,
have
I
to,
just wanted to make sure, because
Approve
you had
Christina's
3,500
grants.
crossed
Yeah.
out, so I just,
So in DD, the number where it says 3,000, it says 1,000, we changed to $3,500. So that is gonna be the threshold that, that we could apply for a grant without us bringing it to the board for approval.
so I don't feel like we've had many grants come to us, have we?
Well, we had the
A lot.
Aspire grant.
Yeah. So there's bigger ones, and then most of our grants, like, these are separate from like our title grants and
Okay.
local entitlement, like that stuff.
Okay, I was
we do
gonna
not
say
bring.
Christina's getting away with a lot then.
Yeah, no, Christina's grants are different, but this would be like, you know, quite often we'll have teachers say, we want to go for the $600 grant for classroom supplies to
Right,
build a small greenhouse garden, right? Like, that's not stuff that we bring to you folks for
Okay.
approval.
Or like Mr. Vischer got some grants for
Yes,
his
for-
outdoor stuff.
Right, so,
Easy graph.
but what we're finding is $1,000 isn't gonna get you a whole lot
Yeah.
anymore and a lot of the stuff, so,
and usually those don't have any strings to it.
correct.
So if you get the $100 from Hannaford, you know, grant,
Great.
You don't have to hire.
Hannaford isn't
Don't worry
gonna
about
ask
that.
you to
yeah, I
hire
feel like
people.
$1,000 is kind of minuscule, like
I think the $1,000 figure had been in there since the policy was last addressed back
when you were a
Dave
child.
said 2016, yeah, so-
when you were a child.
And my guess is in 2016, it was
Dave-
probably $1,000 in
Yep.
the version before that. So again, rather than us just we kind of debated on a number there for a little bit, but then we went in and saw that they crossed out that 3,500 and bumped it up to $10,000. And the micro purchase one, we thought the $3,500, what it used to be considered a micro purchase would be a good number for us to slide into our,
Well, that's about inflation.
so.
Right.
Yeah. So that is the only change in DD, and I apologize for not reflecting that, in that policy. The federal procurement manual, if I had to do this all over again, I would have just downloaded the manual that they gave me and done a complete rewrite. But I got halfway through and then I was committed, strike throughs
Oh,
and
yeah.
bolding and entering in. So most of the language is same. Again, there's a ton of highlights there. The biggest gist that I will give you out of this that is important is the change in the numbers. And you'll see in there was a bunch of strike throughs in the ranges. So it went from 3,500 to 10,000. One went from 150,000 to 250,000, I believe.
Did you fall asleep at your desk on this stuff?
What's that? No, get a little cross-eyed, I think, in copying and pasting some of this stuff.
But when our auditor comes to do their uniform guidance audit,
Yes.
they'll say, have you updated your procedure manual to match the federal guidelines? And we will say, yes, we have.
Yes,
And they will check the little box and then a little checklist and we won't get a finding,
because
so.
we had the 2015
Yeah.
one, there was actually a 2021, and so this is the 2025 manual that we have under. So I highly suggest that we take what they say in here, because if we do get these big federal grants again, like Tom was saying, the auditors don't like it when we're not following federal guidelines.
That's a big no-no.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
is that when we
other,
get the fines?
what's that?
Is that when we get the fines?
There can be stuff in there.
Yeah, deficiencies, you have to fix it, at least.
Corrective action plans are really the biggest thing that we would be looking at that.
Okay.
The other big change in there that we had a decent discussion on, I say decent, but certainly highlighted, previously in the manual, it said that you did not have to worry about geographical purchasing, which basically said, don't worry about buying local, just go do what you need to do. The new manual actually has done the complete 180, and they're saying, look locally first before you go, but it's suggested, not mandated. So we still would not put ourselves in a position where we're not gonna get the best bang for our buck. But we are certainly going to look locally and domestically to do our purchasing first. I will say that is something that we have always done, when we can. You know, if it's just a little bit of money, we're gonna go local.
Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna go to local 5 and down and get a Promethean board.
Right, I mean, there's just some of those bigger purchases that we need to make sure that we're being as fiscally responsible as we can with taxpayer money, and getting the best value for our money, but at the same time. And then the other one, important one is in there, and it's always kind of been in there. They did, I think, just move it so it was more prominent, is that we agree to all federal stipulations when we accept these grants, and again, that's always kind of been implied, but it's very, very prominent in its location in this one, so.
There was a lot of the many strike-throughs and rewrites were really just streamlining, like the meaning
Right, yeah.
behind the wording is the same, the language has the same effect, but it's streamlined and shortened in a lot of cases.
Okay. But please say yes, so that we can check off that box honestly.
I move to say yes.
All right, we got a motion. I need a
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the 2 first readings. That's unanimous, thank you. Okay. No second readings. We've already done a bunch of these, so now we're down to staff recognition.
And at this point, I am gonna turn it over to Mrs. Hall. And as she's coming, get ready, as I put in my board report, we did have teacher appreciation week, but I will say April and May, we have all of the weeks, right? There's
Do you want me to move
school
that
counselor
podium
week,
for
and
you?
there's administrative
Move that
assistant,
for you?
When
When
he
Like
said
bigger
crystal
than-
podium, I thought he wasn't serious, but it's not crystal, but it's heavy. Thank you.
so we're very fortunate, we did try to do, and our administrators do a really nice job of
We did some deals on
It's
trying
that.
heavy.
to honor all of those staff members during
Just
their
trying to build
respective
up home
weeks, but
density.
Right.
Christina has done a nice job, I think,
What are you
doing some
trying to
extra
say?
recognition.
That we can all use bone density.
Now that you're over there violating HIPAA.
Okay.
No, I don't know her bone density.
All right, so as Josh was just sharing, this month has been staff appreciation, and so what I actually had fun doing this for you, to prepare this for you, and also to publicly recognize our staff. So I just have a quick little series of slides to celebrate, first of all, the longevity in our staff that we haven't really done, and I want to start doing this more often. And then I want to celebrate a couple of educational academic achievements for a couple of our staff members, and then talk about Hancock County Teacher of the Year. So I will be brief, but I do think it's worth sharing all of the great people in our district. So, just really quickly, this is kind of a rundown of staff longevity in the number of years, not that they've been in education total, but the number of years that they've dedicated service to RSU 25. So I'm gonna start at the top with our staff member that's been here the longest,
Laura.
and we'll work our way down.
Yes.
So Laura McKnight has been an elementary teacher in RSU 25 for 45 years, but she has taught, and if she's listening, I may be wrong, but I believe this is her 51st year in teaching. So her first few years were at a different district, but she has been in service to RSU 25 for 45 years
Goodness, was
this
she
year.
12 when she started?
53, okay, maybe.
I just talked to her the other day,
53,
because we were, if I'd stayed on, I'd been close,
53.
but not that close.
Yeah, so 45 though in this district. Amazing. And so then what I did was I went by 5-year increments and just did like 40 plus, just for this first time doing this, and then every May I'd like to give you an update of people that reached those 5-year increments. So this is 40 plus. These two ladies have been working in RSU 25 for more than 40 years, but not quite 45 yet. So Bonnie Simcoe, elementary teacher, currently teaching our reading recovery, and Linda White, currently teaching at the elementary school. So both of them, more than 40 years to our district. 35 plus years, Gail Darbo, head custodian at Miles Lane School, Chris Jones, high school social studies teacher, and Katie Eberhardt, special education teacher, currently working at the Jewett School. 30 plus years in R225, Kathy Andrews, speech pathologist in our special education department, Liz Townsend, ed tech, Sherry Roy, kitchen staff, Bill Eberhardt, special ed teacher, and Dolores Craven, ed tech. 30, between 30 and 34 years in our district. The 25 plus group, we have Celia Farrell at the elementary school, Kendall Warden, who's had a few different roles for us, elementary teacher, French, and now currently our GT teacher, Tracy McHale, school secretary, Denise Smith at the high school, Belinda Harriman, ed tech, Mike Cowing at the high school, Evelyn Smith, custodian currently at Jewett, Stan Pelletier, school counselor, Amanda Reynolds, speech pathologist, Gail White, elementary teacher, and Bobby Contours, ed techs. All with 25 to 29 years in our district. I just it just makes me, in our district, right? That's just pretty amazing. They've probably been in education longer, but it's pretty cool. And here's our 20 plus years group, between 20 and 24 years. Kathy Bartley, ed tech, Ginny White, high school teacher, Josh Tripp, high school teacher, principal superintendent, Clara Shea, custodian, Sue Gormley, middle school teacher, Barb Gray, special ed teacher, Cheryl Robinson, central office, so she worked in our central office for a while, and also special ed secretary currently, Kenny White, maintenance, Janine Nason, school secretary, Jen Scala, librarian, Emily Morrison, high school teacher, Heather Harriman, elementary teacher, Megan Simpson has had the role of ed tech, elementary and now middle school teacher. She's now our PE teacher at the middle school. Judy Shute, school secretary, Michelle Brindle, high school teacher, and Matt Morrison, I cut it off down here, sorry Matt, his picture's there though. Matt Morrison, high school teacher, but also currently reading recovery teacher and a reading recovery trainer in the state of Maine, works with a bunch of districts, 20 plus years. And then 15, Kathy Pelletier, adult ed, 15 plus, so this is the folks 15 to 19. Terry Jurgensen, high school teacher, Jen Bowden, special ed teacher and assistant director. Barb Shields has been an ed tech, special ed teacher, currently an elementary teacher. Margaret Jones, elementary art. Darcy Dakin, SPED, middle school and elementary teacher for us, assistant principal and now currently principal. Heather Rockcliffe, social worker. Tara Woods, special ed teacher, assistant SPED director and SPED director. Joanna Searles, now Powers, speech pathologist, Larissa Gaff, ed tech, and Amanda Smith, SPED secretary.
And yourself.
I'm 14.
Oh, you're
I thought I was 15. I'm 14.
Okay.
Sorry, next year. Next year I'll be up there. In May next year. So I did the math, and I did not have Dr. Tripp check my math, and ELA is my specialty. So he's probably going to say this is not right.
So it's a rough estimate.
It's a rough estimate, right, it's a guesstimate, no, actually I did the math twice, so combined service years for all of those folks in RSU 25, 1,184.
Wow, that's
Combined years. And that's 49 staff members with 15 or more years to this district. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important.
How
that we
many
recognize-
other people were almost in the 15-year besides you?
We had 4.
No honorable mentions page?
Four?
Yeah, right.
You.
4, okay. Now you're testing me.
10 years.
I can't remember.
I think what's important about this is, I think you folks, I wanna say unfortunately, but most of the time you're nominating new teachers, right? Those are the names that you see come forward for first year, second year probationary. And certainly you've seen a lot of these faces and names, and your kids have had these teachers, or you've had these teachers, or both in some cases. But I think because we see all of those names, we don't see these names all the time, we kind of take it in. And I think it's easy for us to think, man, we have a lot of turnover and we're rotating through a lot, which
But then we have
all
these-
districts, but then
these-
you look at, we have 50 staff members, that have been here for, just in this district, 15 years or more, so.
I think I was
I
one
think
of Sylvia.
I think we have
Farrell's
2
first
board members that have
students.
been here 15
I
years
want
or
Josh
more.
Tripp's first students.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a few
Because I'm
people on
at
that
four-
list that I
I'm 14.
remember when we hired them.
That's right.
That's incredible too.
Yeah.
It surely is. So I just think it's important, and something that I talked to Josh about, and he has agreed to let me do, is that during our opening in service, so we have a session at the Clean Auditorium where we gather everybody together, and it's usually just a brief welcome back in August, and I wanna share this, and then each year, obviously it won't be as many, right, but we will share those milestones of those 5 years, and just honor them that, you know, for their time in our district, because I do think that it's super important. And when I did that, it was just fun to like look at, like, not a lot of districts have, that's a lot of people who have had service to our district that long. So anyway, I was really excited about that, and I really want to share it with you, so I'm glad we had time to do so tonight. And then just a couple more things before I'm done. We are celebrating a couple of staff academic advancements. Tara Woods, congratulations, received her Certificate of Advanced Graduate Studies, also known as the TAGS, I call it, in Educational Leadership in Art. And Sarah Bissonette has received her Master's in School Counseling in May. That may not be everybody, but those are the folks that I know about that have
Nice.
always let me know. At the, like, by now, I might not find out till the summer. So if we do have any others, I'll be sure to share those as well, but those are the ones that I knew about and wanted to share with you. And then Hancock County Teacher of the Year nominations, I think you have maybe heard me talk about this already, but I did want to publicly recognize that we had 3 RSU 25 teachers who were nominated for Hancock County Teacher of the Year. Angel Bryant, who is a Miles Lane School grades 3-4 looping teacher, Jared Copeland, BMS grade 7 math teacher, and Miles Fisher, BMS grade 8 social studies teacher. The Teacher of the Year and County Teacher of the Year process in Maine is pretty strenuous. There's a lot of steps to it. So you initially get nominated by someone, and you don't know who. So someone nominates you, that information gets sent to the board that does all of the work to nominate these folks, and then they have to follow a series of exercises that they have to do if they want to continue on in the process. And so these 3 did continue on in the process. They had to get letters of recommendation from a variety of folks, some parents, community, administrators,
School board
school board members.
board parents.
Yeah, so a bunch of work went into this, and so it is a lot. Miles and Angel both made it to the top 10 round for Hancock County, and Jared was in the top 3. Ultimately, a different teacher in Hancock County was chosen as Hancock County Teacher of the Year, but I wanted to recognize these 3 folks for their nominations and their work in this process, so.
Who can nominate?
Anyone.
Yeah.
Anyone can nominate, yep, parent, community member, a colleague.
Is there a
an
process, or
administrator.
you just,
Yes.
okay.
Yep, there's a process, and usually that comes out every year in March, so if you watch for that from Educate Maine, they will push out information where you can nominate, and there's a nomination form, and I only know because I've nominated folks in the past.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, that's all I had for you. I do appreciate all of the staff that we work with, and I just wanted to share
Nice.
publicly. Thank you.
Thank you for shining that light on it.
Yes.
Now that we've recognized the staff, it's time to consider approving a staff member to take time off without pay.
Okay, so I included in your packets, we have a staff member, who's a custodian with us, suffered an injury, a non-work related injury, and has come to the end of leave that she could take due to that injury, but is unable to come back as of right now. We'll be able to come back in August. Lily has been a very good employee for us, and she is asking that where she can't come to work, we can't just not take her without board approval. So she is making the request that basically hold her position, fill in where we can, intent of bringing her back in August. And my recommendation is that we honor this request. One, because she's a very good employee, does a really nice job for us, and we want her back, and we still have vacancies right now for the positions, so we really don't want to add to those vacancies. So
I would look for a motion.
Well, I move that we accept the request for leave from Elaine, what is it? Elaine Moore. That we request her leave without pay until August 26, 2025.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? It's unanimous, thank you. Next, we have consideration to approve a staff member's request for leave.
So almost I shouldn't say identical situation, but very similar. So we have a teacher, Gail White, who has been out since around February vacation on family medical leave that is approved. That is something that's approved not through the RSU 25. It's a state leave that it's protected leave. It has run out, but the reason that she has taken that leave is still existing. We knew when she went on leave, she had met with Darcy and so that this was going to be through the end of the school year. And so at this point, the request is since that leave is gone, we need to come to the board saying, can she continue that throughout the rest of the school year using the leave that she has earned through. So basically it will just be sick time and personal leave time to get us through the end of the year. We already have a long-term sub in place. It hasn't been going very well. This will continue and she plans on returning to us in the fall.
I would move that we approve the leave requested.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all those in favor? That is unanimous, thank you. Next, we have consideration to approve DHS track and field team to approve, not improve, classes.
Coach Morrison might want you to help them improve as well.
Yeah,
Any action the board
Anytime we
can
could
take, I'm sure
improve
that
that,
would
it
be.
would be good.
Consideration to
I know
approve
Coach
the
Long.
BHS track and field team members that qualify for the New England Championships to travel to New Britain, Connecticut on the dates of June 13th to 14th.
So annual request, we don't know who is going to qualify for New England's until it's too late to get them before you, so we always look for approval beforehand. It's out of state and overnight, so it kind of is a double whammy in terms of why we would need board approval on it. It's one that we do every year. Typically, it's a small enough group that we take down in one van. It has been the case we've had to use two vans. Hopefully it's an issue. I'd love to say we have to send a bus down because we've had so many people that have won state championships and have qualified for New England's. But Coach Morrison's done a nice job at just giving us the rough details of what that trip would look like. And I hope that we have to take advantage of this.
I would make a motion to approve the suggested travel.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all those in favor? And that is unanimous, thank you. Next we have calendar and announcements. Curriculum Committee, June 5th, 6 o'clock central office. Policy Committee, June 10th, 6 o'clock central office. Finance Committee, June 16th.
That's a Monday. Just remember that that is the change that you folks wrote is not the 17th, which we would normally schedule, it's gonna be on the 16th.
June 16th, 5:30, BHS Library. School Board meeting, June 16th, 6 o'clock, BHS Library.
Just a Monday, just so everybody, just a Monday.
It is a Monday, John.
No facilities, Aspire Committee, June 5th, 5 o'clock, central office.
That one may not be happening, I'll update the members of the committee.
Okay,
Thank you, Jen. And then obviously tomorrow night, we have our district budget meeting, that starts at 7. We would love to have you there by 6:30-ish, so that we can get you all set up. And then, hopefully it goes well. And then we have the academic banquets.
I was just gonna make
Christina
a
thought I was
plug.
gonna forget.
I was looking.
So again, if you are gonna be able to make it, please let Sue or Christina know and how many people you'll be bringing, so that we can have seats and food. And then just another one I don't have on here, June 9th, remember, is at 3 o'clock is the dedication for the Silvernail wing. Here, if you can make that, that would be great.
That's right here.
That's Monday, right?
We'll be outside.
It's a Monday.
We're gonna be also, cause it, okay.
With where the
What time?
3 o'clock. And then we'll meet up here for refreshments and stuff afterwards.
okay.
That was the 9th,
That is the 9th.
It's
Yep,
Monday.
3 p.m.?
3 p.m.
Cool.
And then the last thing I'll bring up, just because we don't have it, is if you want seats, if you know you're gonna be there for graduation, please email Mr. Ward. Because he does put out seating for staff and school board members. Where it's gonna be outside, we wanna make sure we have enough chairs out there, so if you can please just email him and let him know that you will be attending, so we can make sure we have enough seats.
And that's the
We're
7th.
not gonna just throw us in the bleachers.
We're not gonna throw you in the bleachers, well, I'm not sure, y'all take that up with Mr. Ward.
What day is that? The 7th or the 6th?
Six.
6,
What time?
5 o'clock.
Everybody all good? I would look for a motion to adjourn.
I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you.
I want to go. Could I get a ticket for the